Live from Saratoga Racecourse, it's Onorato and Miller. It's the start of the 40-day meet here at the spa. Already warmed up with the Belmont. You can call a Triple Crown race a warm-up. The Belmont was a warm-up here, 4 days of racing. Now, of course, 10 times that as we get ready for 40 days at the spa. It's Chris Onorato. No Ash this week. Sorry, everybody. I know how much that hurts you, and hurts you to watch, hurts you to listen. Stuck with me. We've got a lot to do, though, on the show here this week, which is exciting because we've hit the All-Star break for Major League Baseball. We've got NFL training camps right around the corner. And Team USA Hoops is in action and showing exactly what they are capable of. Headed to Paris, seeking a fifth straight gold medal at the Olympics. We'll talk about all that. There's also a big boxing event in the 518 over the weekend. War on the Water 3. We'll talk with Ray Schott from Schott's Boxing. But, of course, it's opening day at Saratoga Racecourse. That's where we start. Let's get going.
This is Onorato and Miller, sponsored by Alpen House.
Yeah, our great friends over at Alpen House, Katie Osborne, Andy Heck, the entire Heck family, showing great support for this show every single week and been with us from the very beginning now, more than 3 years old on this show. Love it. Sam and Carol, what I appreciate about people, right, is we've kind of danced all over the place already this summer. Wednesday night shows, Thursday morning shows. You guys find us. We appreciate that. Sam and Carol checking us out here. Yeah. Sam says, was looking for you earlier this morning. We were on the air, man. What do you mean we were hiding? We were there. We're on the roof, if that's what you mean. Maybe Sam was in early for a picnic table. That could be. But yeah, we did News Channel 13 today live from the roof. So it's opening day here at Saratoga. Again, 40 days of racing. And everybody looks forward to opening day and then Travers, which in a lot of ways is viewed as like the final big day of the meet. It's not necessarily that. But I do understand that sentiment that like, hey, we start in earlier July now than ever before, July 11th. My goodness. And then we end kind of at the end of August with the Travers on the 24th. The reason I want to talk about the Travers so early on in the meet is because the conversation around the Belmont here at Saratoga was, well, there's no Triple Crown on the line. How will the crowd be? Let me tell you something. The word was that attendance on Belmont Day was capped at 50,000 people. Do I have hard numbers to prove that it was more than 50? No. But I have my eyes and the experience of having been here, and I was here for American Pharaoh Travers, where it was capped at 50. This was more. I don't know what the number was, and I understand Nairo will say, no, it was 50,000. I don't really care. I don't know what fire code capacity is, but it was crowded. If you were here, you know it was crowded. And so the fact that there was no Triple Crown on the line that day did not matter for people. They wanted to experience Saratoga and the Belmont at Saratoga. And so will there be that residual effect of people maybe who were here for the first time ever because Belmont was here, and so they come back during these 40 days? Possibly. I think the knock that will come with the Travers is, well, what's the big horse in the race? For the sixth straight year, you had 3 different winners of a Triple Crown race. And so is there going to be a lot of juice before August 24th in the Travers Stakes? And I would say absolutely. Because while there's the draw of a dominant horse, a horse that had maybe won a Triple Crown or 2 legs of the Triple Crown and come run the Travers, you want to see that horse. But they've pretty much already locked up 3-year-old champion. Not the case this year. So the winner of the Midsummer Derby is going to go a long way towards boosting a 3-year-old champion resume. Now, if you don't get Mystic Dan, Seize the Gray, or Dornoch winning the Travers, this thing gets wide open before the Breeders' Cup. So Travers can boost the resume. It can also create a little more of a muddled mix to that conversation, right? Yeah, okay. Sam was here at 7 for a picnic table. Absolutely. Good for you. And he's coming back after he watches this show. I love that. So Sam will be here for opening day. I hope you guys have an opportunity to get here to Saratoga at some point this summer. It is just such a great venue, historic venue that Naira finds ways to, enhance and upgrade every little bit, every little year, it seems anyway. But still a lot of that charm for the people who have been coming here for decades. Still a lot of that charm. Maybe you end up hanging out in the backyard a little bit more instead of one of the suites, but it's for everybody. There is something for everybody here at Saratoga, so we absolutely love that. We'll, of course, continue Saratoga conversations throughout the summer on the show here on Onorato and Miller. Let's take a time out here live from the spa. We've got Ray Schott from Schott's Boxing coming up. We're going to talk a little Team USA basketball, NFL training camps around the corner, quarterback questions, and some injuries. Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers, Daniel Jones all coming off significant injuries. What do we think about their chances to really bounce back in a big way? Dak Prescott wearing a boot. He says it's not a big deal. Are we buying that? He also doesn't have a contract beyond this year. Neither does Jordan Love or Tua Tagovailoa. Things are getting interesting with the quarterback conversations ahead of training camps. And Major League Baseball's first half of the season pretty much in the books at this point. As we approach the All-Star break, what are our takeaways as the Yankees slide into the middle of July? The Phillies are the first team to reach 60 wins. Will anybody beat them? And the trade deadline will be here before you know it, just about 2 weeks away. All right, we're back right after this on Onorato and Miller.
At Marcella's Appliance Center, our commitment is to you, providing essential appliances that families depend on for cooking, refrigeration, cleaning, and sanitation, plus appliance repair. You can have peace of mind that Marcella's is here for you today and every day, like we have been since 1957, helping you make the right choice with trusted brands like Whirlpool, Maytag, KitchenAid, and many more. Shop Marcella's Appliance Center in-store, online, or by phone. We're here for you.
Using the highest quality materials, artisanal craftsmanship, and creative design, we're ready to help bring the vacation experience to your own home. With custom-designed Legacy Edition pools, we're confident we can turn your backyard into your own personal oasis. And we'll be by your side through the whole process. Get outside this summer with Alpenhaus. Be sure to visit our brand new 16,000 square foot showroom expansion on Route 30 in Amsterdam. Alpenhaus Pools and Hot Tubs, Amsterdam and Clifton Park.
And now, back to Onorato and Miller. Sponsored by Alpenhaus.
Okay, some news to get to here in regards to this Team USA men's basketball Olympic roster. The swap out of Kawhi Leonard for Derek White. Leonard's knee just not all the way there, in the opinion of Grant Hill, and so he gets sent home. And there's the greater interest, too, that, look, he missed time in the playoffs. So in the interest of the Clippers as well, right, you want to do right by the team as best you can. You send Leonard home now, and, he can continue to rehab that knee a little bit. But I also think from a Team USA perspective, the conversation continues to be that the world has caught up. So you don't want to go in undermanned. As much as I think, obviously, this team has to be heavy favorites to win gold, you don't want to go in undermanned and thinking, well, even if we have to drop Kawhi from the roster and can't make a late ad, we should still cruise to the goal. It's just not the way it is. Spain and Canada, look at the superstars like Luka and Giannis playing, and France. So you can't assume that you're going to just move through some of these countries that have, quote unquote, caught up to the U.S. in terms of world competition. So Derek White in. Kawhi obviously has his defensive capabilities, but Derek White has become and shown he is an elite defender, so that will help. And Team USA leaned on defense when the Americans beat Canada on Wednesday night, 86-72. An Olympic tune-up. That was in Las Vegas. The Americans will now go to play Australia. I believe that's in Dubai. So they'll play Australia next. But the important thing here is how the U.S. was able to beat a very good Canada team, by the way. It's always balanced, right? The Olympics, this isn't it's an all-star team, but it's not an all-star game. You don't get guys popping off for 40 points. It's usually a pretty balanced attack, and that's what it was in the first game that we saw this squad put together. There is no reason this team shouldn't win gold. Now, they're not going to win by the margin that we saw with the Dream Team, because, again, the world has caught up somewhat. But the fact that Steph Curry has never played in the Olympics and he's playing now, the fact that LeBron James, who turns 40 at the end of this year, has signed up and is all in, that's a big deal. Anthony Davis had a double-double in this game. They have shooting. They have bigs, right? That was a concern, right? Can you rebound? Are you physical enough? That had been an issue for this team when games were close. They didn't lose them, but when games were close, can you handle the paint? Can you rebound? Are you physical enough? Davis and Embiid will bring that to Team USA. And obviously, they're gonna be able to score it. We have guys like Curry and LeBron and Durant, Tatum. Come on, it's gonna be able to score. No issue there, and they'll be able to defend as well. Guys like Drew Holiday, and I mentioned the addition of Derek White. So I'm more excited to watch this team, even though I don't think they'll lose any games. I really don't. But there will be some close calls, which makes it exciting. The Dream Team in '92, if you're old enough to remember that, they were all blowouts. It was exciting because it was new. We didn't have NBA players prior to that. But then it got a little boring because it just was so dominant until we needed the Redeem Team to step in and take back control. I think we'll get some close games. I don't see this team losing at all in the Olympics. We'll see, right? All right, another time out here on Onorato and Miller. When we come back, still going to talk with Ray Schott about War on the Water 3, big boxing event up in Lake George this weekend, Major League Baseball's first half, and NFL training camp as well. We are back in a minute.
I'm Jeff Ukelek. I'm owner of Bevs, and we're a beverage center in upstate New York. You're just going to have that wow component when you come in, like, wow, look at this place. It's bright, it's clean, it has everything that I need. Consumer is king. Be able to provide them a friendly environment and a place to shop, no matter where they are, whether they're down here in Saratoga or whether they're up in Queensbury. You're always going to get the same experience when you shop at Bevs. At the end of the day, if you walk in your stores, you're going to see a lot of people that have a lot of pride.
It's always a good time there. Doesn't matter where. It's always a good time there.
Play to win a 2024 Chevy Camaro convertible through June 29th. Celebrate 20 years of good times at Saratoga Casino Hotel.
It's always a good time.
Learn more at SaratogaCasino.com.
To try, it's always a good time.
And now, back to Onorato and Miller. Sponsored by Alpenhaus.
And a shout out to all of our local business partners here, Marcella's, Bevs, Novice Clothing Company, Saratoga Casino, and Performance Industrial. We'll bring you that Dirty Difficult done here coming up in a little bit. All right, let's get into the NFL conversation here now. Training camp storylines. Can you believe it? I mean, within the next 10 to 14 days, all teams will have reported either by just rookies or also vets. So we will be in it by the time we reach this time next week, really. So Roger Weiland at Channel 13 has always said, as soon as Saratoga opening day arrives, summer's over. That might be a little aggressive for some people, but really when NFL training camps open, it feels like summer's over because in a blink, we are going to be playing that game between the Ravens and the Chiefs on a Thursday night. And what an opener, huh? All right, so before we get to that opener, and maybe we'll dive into some of the game conversation here, training camp. What are y'all watching out for? got my eyes on 3 quarterback contracts in particular. Of course, everybody's talking about the Dak contract, and, I get it because he was a runner-up to MVP. He plays for the Cowboys, and you would assume he will be the highest paid of the guys I'm about to list. But I don't see any way that a contract between the Cowboys and Dak Prescott gets done before week 1. And once we're into week 1, I just don't see it happening during the season. It wouldn't be smart for Dak to sign during the season unless he's having a terrible year or gets injured and Dallas is still offering him the world. I think he plays it out. I think he becomes the first big name quarterback to hit true free agency since who? Kirk Cousins is the last guy we can remember doing it, but this doesn't happen. Top 10 quarterbacks don't hit free agency. They have a contract that age or injury does not allow them to fulfill oftentimes. That's the way this usually goes. Or they get traded, I guess, like Favre and Rodgers were traded. But I think we're going to see Dak hit the open market here, and that will create an incredible, interesting offseason next year. Okay, so that's Dak. Tua Tagovailoa, playoff quarterback, led the league in passing yards. He is I guess maybe Mike McDaniel gets the credit, but I'm going to call Tua the maestro of this incredibly explosive offense in Miami. Achane, Mostert, Hill, Waddle, right? They all play incredibly important roles. But Tua's the guy pulling the trigger. And he seems like the perfect fit for what Mike McDaniel wants to do there. I still don't know that a contract is going to get done between Tua and the Dolphins before week 1, which will make things very, very interesting. And look, maybe Miami just wants to see Tua healthy for the first 10 games and performing at a really high level, right? Sam says he's one concussion away from retirement. I don't disagree here that you have to be concerned or cautious if you're Miami, but you also need a quarterback. And so if Tua plays the first 10 weeks healthy and as well as he played last year, is that enough for you? Do you need to see him play well in really cold environments? So are we talking about Tua not getting a contract until December? Maybe. There's the knock against him. But I think we have learned that NFL teams are more desperate to keep a quarterback than they are patient to hang on or to wait, right, for a quarterback or search for another quarterback. Find the next guy. Easier to keep the guy you have, even when it's a huge, huge price tag. Carroll wants to know whatever happened to Aaron Rodgers. Well, he was hurt last year, and then he was on vacation during OTAs. But he's around. He'll be in camp. He'll start for the Jets week 1, and that'll be fun to see him come back. We'll get to the injuries here in a moment. The other contract, I'm fascinated by is what will the Packers do with Jordan Love? Now, they will give him a contract, and I believe of the 3, Dak, Tua, Love, Jordan Love will get his contract before week 1. I think this thing gets done in training camp. The key is, can Green Bay get him at a number below $50 million a year? That, to me, is what to look out for in this negotiation. Will Love say, you know what, you're right, I've only played 1 year, and really I've only had like 9 or 10 good games, and they were great. They weren't just good, but the others are a little bit of a throwaway. Played well in Dallas, of course, but Green Bay dominated in all facets of that game. And then he played well enough in San Francisco to win. If Anders Carlson doesn't miss that field goal, you're at least going to overtime. So Love has earned himself a new contract. It's just whether or not he's earned $50 million a year. Green Bay's in a position they can pay him that because a lot of their skill position guys are on rookie contracts, talking about those receivers and tight ends specifically. Now the injuries. Okay. Carol already asked about Aaron Rodgers. Fascinated to see what happens with him, how he comes back from an Achilles injury at 40 years old. Is he good to go? All the talk, remember all the talk last year, Sam watching the show used to get so angry because Ash and I would bring it up every week seemingly because Rodgers would talk about it every week on the Pat McAfee show. Like, you know what? I'm ahead of schedule in my rehab. And we did this weird surgical procedure that nobody else has done for an Achilles. So actually, I'm ready to practice. And he did come back. And he was out on the field at practice. And he was jogging and throwing and dropping back and planting and didn't play because the Jets were out of the playoffs. But it would have been really interesting to see if New York was in the playoff conversation, if Rodgers really was able to come back and play. So all of that said, now we're talking 7, 8, 9 months later. You have to assume he's 100% healthy. Not to say there couldn't be lingering effects from that injury at somebody that age. And so, of course, I will be. Look, people ask me all the time, do you root against Aaron Rodgers because you're a Packers fan? No. But I'm not like invested in his success anymore. But I'm as interested as I ever was to watch him play. So there's that. Kirk Cousins injury. Huge contract in Atlanta, 4 years, $180 million, half of it guaranteed. We'll talk about the Michael Penix situation in a moment here. But Cousins coming off equally as devastating an injury. 5 years younger than Rodgers? About that anyway. And so Atlanta's gone all in to try to get this offense up to speed. They've spent draft capital on receivers, tight ends, running backs. The quarterback has been the missing piece. Can Cousins be the guy? How are you not interested in that, right? That is a very winnable division when you look at what Carolina is, what Tampa was able to do last year, and you have to figure Atlanta is the favorites. If you said to me now, Chris, Kirk Cousins is going to play all 17 games, I would say that team wins the division. Now, if he doesn't play all 17 games, is that because injury or ineffectiveness? Michael Penix, is breathing down his neck. And every time Cousins struggles, there will be Falcons fans and media members wondering, when does Penix get his shot? And every time Penix looks good in practice and that trickles out into media reports, the questions will be, when does Penix get his shot? But the Falcons have painted themselves into a corner here because as much as I'm sure they would like to start the clock on Michael Penix to find out whether or not they really have their quarterback of the future, they owe $90 million guaranteed to Kirk Cousins. You can't pay Kirk Cousins that much money for 1 year, can you? Like, this can't be the bridge year to get to Penix. 2 years, that makes sense. Because 45 years is almost a bargain now for a starting quarterback in the NFL. So if you say Cousins plays for 2, Penix sits for 2, that makes sense. But it feels like Atlanta wants to speed up the timeline on this faster than just 2 years. I don't know. We'll see. Sam says the NFC South is the worst division in football. Yeah, it would have to be, right? I'm trying to think of other bad divisions in the NFL. But the NFC East is not bad. You've got Philadelphia, Dallas, Giants are a playoff team a couple of years ago. NFC North, Minnesota probably goes to the bottom of that division now with Detroit and Green Bay. And then Chicago seems to kind of have everybody's interest with what they did in the offseason, bringing in Keenan Allen, obviously drafting Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze. Okay. NFC West, I'm high on the Rams this year. And, of course, they have the reigning NFC champs in the Niners. But do you love either the other two teams out there so much? Maybe Arizona has a surprise in them for people. Okay. AFC East. Jets are the question mark. Patriots stink. Don't even spend any of my time talking about them. Jets are the question mark. Buffalo and Miami should be good. Should be good. Significant changes to both of those rosters. I understand. But they both should be good. Okay. AFC West, Super Bowl champs. Enough said, right? But that's not Raiders. Let's see what the Chargers can do with Harbaugh now. And can he get Herbert to really play to his potential in terms of winning big games? We know he can put up the big numbers. AFC North might be the best division of football. I don't know. What do you think? Sam, you think the NFC South is the worst? Is the AFC North the best? Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Baltimore? Yeah. AFC South, you love that division? Houston feels like the heavy favorite there, right? Jacksonville, obviously, they invested in Trevor Lawrence. Sam says, yes, AFC North. I agree. Who wins that division? Should be Baltimore, right? Should be Baltimore. Yeah. All right, we'll see. Let's take a quick time out here on Onorato and Miller. When we come back, Ray Schott from Shots Boxing will be with us. Live from Saratoga Racecourse on Onorato and Miller. Back in a minute.
I'm Jeff Ukelek. I'm owner of Bevs, and we're a beverage center in upstate New York. You're just gonna have that wow component when you come in, like, wow, look at this place. It's bright, it's clean, it has everything that I need. Consumer is king. Be able to provide them a friendly environment and a place to shop, no matter where they are, whether they're down here in Saratoga or whether they're up in Queensbury. You're always going to get the same experience when you shop at Bevs. At the end of the day, if you walk in these stores, you're going to see a lot of people that have a lot of pride.
Teams, athletes, organizations. We're transforming the custom apparel industry through product and purpose.
All right, back on Onorato and Miller here. We'll get that fixed, get you the Ray Schott segment in a little bit here. But let's jump into what we love to do. Love this segment, Dirty, Difficult, Done with Performance Industrial.
And now, Dirty, Difficult, and Done. Sponsored by Performance Industrial.
Karen Miller, Bill Miller, the great people at Performance Industrial here. Dirty, Difficult, Done, a segment we do each and every single week. And I can say this, even as a Braves fan who would love to see either Chris Sale or Ronaldo Lopez start the All-Star game for the National League, Paul Skeens is so dirty that he should be the starter of the All-Star game. Now, he's the first guy, I believe, to be drafted #1 overall and then chosen for the All-Star game the following year. He's not the youngest guy to ever do it. Players in their at age 19 and 20 have done it. But Skeens has had a heck of a run here, right? He was college baseball's player of the year, won a College World Series, #1 overall pick. We all know about his romance off the field and now dominant as a rookie, and I would make him the starter of the Major League Baseball game because I believe, yes, he has earned it, but earn is such a gray area sometimes, right? It's not black and white. You earned it. That would be to say nobody else earned it. And that obviously just isn't the case because, as I mentioned, Sale and Lopez, you look at their numbers, they both deserve or have earned the right to start the All-Star game here. Okay. But Skeens is a game changer. He is electric with the number of pitches he throws above 100 miles per hour. He is young, and as a rookie, everybody's talking about him. And I think it's the best opportunity to try to get maybe some new people watching baseball, and specifically the All-Star game. For people who say, oh, All-Star games are boring, they don't matter, they don't mean anything. Put Skeens out there for the first 2 innings and put them up against the best hitters the American League has to offer. That's what people want, right? You were to announce Ronaldo Lopez, again, my guy, Brave, as the starter, people are going to go, really? What are we doing here? Sale has some cachet, but he's been there before. It should be Skeens. It should absolutely be Skeens. And I'm with you, Sam. This is it, right? Don't save Paul Skeens for the 4th inning when they've already made some of their changes. I love this. I loved when Major League Baseball used to have players wear their team's jerseys. Because the jerseys that, not just baseball, but and the NBA, the NFL, the jerseys they come up with for these showcases and exhibitions and All-Star games, Pro Bowl, they're terrible. They're terrible. And there's something about, I think it's good for fans too, right? Who may not watch every single night. They are just watching the All-Star game, and maybe that raises a level of interest. But it's a way to educate them too. That like, oh, that's who that guy plays for? Okay, cool. Maybe I'll watch more Cardinals baseball. I don't know. But I'm with you there, Sam. I would make that change too. As commissioner, my number one thing has always been get the managers and coaches out of uniforms. They look ridiculous. It's not necessary. But this is a close second for me, is go back to wearing your team's jerseys for the All-Star game. We're live at Saratoga Racecourse on opening day of this 40-day meet. That was our Performance Industrial Dirty Difficult done. We are going to, of course, follow the Saratoga meet all summer long here on Onorato and Miller, especially leading up to Travers. We'll bring you in some expert handicappers to try to get you some money. At the windows are on your phones now, let's face it. A lot of people are just betting from their couch, and that's cool. But this is always such a great place to spend at least one day during the summer. And we are so excited to be here on opening day, especially. We'll come back ahead of Travers Day as well on Onorato and Miller. All right, we'll take another time out here. Still going to talk a little more baseball in terms of where we stand in the first half, teams that lead their divisions, the surprises that are out there, the team that is first to 60 wins. Looks like they may be unbeatable, especially considering the way they've handled the Dodgers here ahead of the All-Star break. Another timeout, and we're back in a minute on Onorato and Miller.
Teams, athletes, organizations. We're transforming the custom apparel industry through products and purpose. Claim your crown.
Imagine coming home and slipping into your own personal hot tub from Wellness Spas. Our team at Alpenhaus wants to help you relax and enjoy the advantages of owning your very own hot tub. Visit us at Clifton Park Center in our newly expanded showroom on Route 30 in Amsterdam.
And now, back to Onorato and Miller. Sponsored by Alpenhaus.
We're back live at Saratoga Racecourse on opening day. Major League Baseball's All-Star game. For my money, it's the best All-Star game, and I understand that's not saying much because the Pro Bowl is no longer even the Pro Bowl anymore, and it was bad before that. The NHL All-Star game it's not even hockey what they're playing, or they're not playing NHL hockey anyway. It's entertaining, right? These sports have entertaining exhibitions and showcases, but they aren't exactly super engaging for a long period of time if you're a true fan of those sports. And the NBA All-Star Game, a lot of people would say, is, just up and down. You're watching guys like at the YMCA who don't want to play defense until late in the fourth quarter. So again, it's entertaining because the athleticism is on full display, but I would argue it doesn't pique my interest for a full 2.5, 3 hours. But the Major League Baseball game is still baseball. They don't break out into a home run derby in the third inning to try to decide, who the next guy on the mound should be. It's still played the same exact way. There are no variations to it that are jumping out to me. Anyway, if you see something that I'm missing, throw it in the comments and we'll put it up there. But to me, it's still baseball, right? So cool. All right, Mike wants to know who's winning the home run derby. He's taking Gunnar Henderson. Boy, Gunnar Henderson has been so impressive this year, hasn't he? I mean, Baltimore is first place in the AL East, and if you look at what the Orioles are building, it reminds me a lot of what Houston did with their top picks and their farm system and what the Cubs were able to do. When you now Baltimore's different. Baltimore isn't completely different because Chicago was bad for a long time. But you basically stink it up for 3, 4, 5 years. You trade your best players for prospects. You get the number one picks. You have to get them right. Obviously, Baltimore has gotten them right. Haven't even talked about Jackson Holiday, Adley Rutschman. Baltimore is a scary team, and I love what they did in the starting pitching department to bring in a guy like Corbin Burns. Clearly showing, hey, we were good last year. We can be even better. All right, we're up at Saratoga, and the person that makes us look good on the air, the times that we do look good, when we look like idiots, it isn't his fault. CJ North is our chief videographer, but if you don't know CJ, what you don't know about him is his incredible, extensive Major League Baseball knowledge. And not just baseball, it's all sports, but he could tell you who won MVP in 1907, I think.
I don't think they were giving out MVP.
He just said they weren't giving out MVPs yet. Whatever the first year they gave out an MVP, he could probably tell you who won it. Anyway, I want to bring CJ into the conversation here because I want to talk about the first half of the Major League Baseball season. CJ is a diehard Yankees fan,
Right.
and they are limping here to the All-Star break. What's the biggest issue with the Yankees?
I mean, we had such good pitching to start the year, and it's just not there anymore. So I don't know if this is the aggressive regression to the mean, or if this is more on par with what we should have expected.
So, of course, you're talking about, Carlos Rodon was terrific.
Right.
Luis Gil is the one that probably jumps out to most people like, oh, my God, this guy's going to win the Cy Young. Right. And now –
not even an All-Star.
Correct. Not even an All-Star. And aside from that Sunday night game against Boston, which he did pitch well, he'd go out there and give up at least 4 runs in every single start.
Yeah.
So, okay, what I'm hearing you say is before the deadline, Cashman needs to make a move for a starter.
That would be the obvious one, right? I mean, the lineup is fairly well set. I know, injuries pop up, and Grisham's not someone a lot of people love. I like him. He's kind of that feisty. Reminds me of Brett Gardner. Wasn't always the best, but pitching is something that we really need to look at.
Okay. Clay Holmes is an all-star.
Holmes is an all-star.
So you like?
But
But okay, you like the back end of your bullpen or no?
Yeah, I still think it's got. I'm hoping our guy Tommy Kahnle can turn around a little bit. He's struggled of late, but Holmes is still a very good back end piece. It's still a good bullpen.
One name we haven't mentioned is Jason Dominguez, right? He'll come back here at some point and add a little pop to that outfield. I think Yankees fans who don't like Trent Grisham will say the sooner Dominguez comes back, the better. He can go out and play center field every day.
Right. Yeah. It seemed like he was getting close. Then he had a setback, and as the Yankees always seem to have some sort of setback pop up. But yeah, he's one of those guys. Home run in his first at bat last year. He had a great, I think 15-game stretch or whatever it was. But when he's in the lineup, he's noticeable.
Can they catch Baltimore? And I catch. You're talking about a few games here.
Yeah, Baltimore's really good.
Yeah, they are.
They're really good.
They are. All right. Anybody beating the Phillies? First team to 60 wins. They've got starting pitching that can blow you away. And when you're getting seasons like they're getting from the Ranger Suarez's of the world, in addition to Nola and Wheeler, and then you look at what they've been able to do this first half of the year, while the guys like Trey Turner and Real Muto and Kyle Schwarber and Bryce Harper all miss significant time, who's beating this team?
Yeah, I mean, you hear it every year around the trade deadline. Some teams, their trade deadline is just getting guys gone.
Yeah,
and
right.
the Phillies are one of those teams that it's going to be really tough for anyone to come out of the NL besides. The Dodgers are always a team you have to look at. Your Braves, losing Acuna, that's going to kill
and
you.
Strider.
Right. It's not going to be an easy road for them. I think it's the Phillies.
Yeah, but what a run they are on, and the way that team was built. I questioned some of the moves initially, but it's all coming together here now for them. All right, so the Phillies, I hear maybe Lewis Robert is a move at the deadline, and I'm thinking, my goodness, is this team not already deep enough?
Right, he'll be their seventh hitter. It's hard to imagine what that line is going to look like when they're done putting this together.
Yeah. Guardians obviously been incredibly impressive in the AL Central. But how about the Royals?
I really like the Royals.
Local guy managing that team. Matt Quatrero is the manager in Kansas City. And I was so worried for him, thinking, oh, my gosh, after last year, yeah, they have some talent there. But is it going to come together in time for him? Or are they going to look at the first half of 2024, which could be dreadful, and say, we're good here? That team's been phenomenal. Bobby Witt Jr. is a star.
Incredible. He's great. He's going to be good for a long time. Even like guys like Salvador Perez is still hanging in there and he's still hitting the ball well. Across the board, I mean, they're a young team. Now, the AL Central is one of those divisions that right now, you feel like they're probably one and done in the playoffs. Yeah. But a year or two from now, that's going to be a tough division. The Tigers look like they're much better than we thought they'd be going into the year.
Yep.
And yeah, the Royals look like they're set up to be good for a long time.
The White Sox were so bad to start the year.
Yeah.
They've had better moments, let's say.
Yeah.
Okay. They're not good.
No.
They've had better moments.
Right.
Mike asked me, I'll ask you, who are you taking Monday night in the Derby?
Monday night in
the Home Run Derby.
Home Run Derby?
Yeah.
I mean, I got to go with Alonso, right? He's the Home Run Derby king.
He is like just the perfect build for that thing. Like
he's a masher.
He's not a modern day slugger.
No.
He's a throwback slugger.
Right. He's your Dave Kingman type of guy.
Ooh, I like that. Mike also wants to know thoughts on the Mets first half. I've been so focused on how are the Mets going to treat the trade deadline. Obviously, so much of that is dependent on what they did in this first half here. Half game back, he says, from the last wild card spot. And they're probably not that far from the first wild card spot. I think Atlanta was only up like 5 games on them or something like that. Okay, so what do you think about the Mets and what should they do at the deadline?
Yeah, I mean, there was a time, speaking of Alonso, where we were thinking, do they look to trade him at the deadline?
I know.
I think they'd be hard-pressed to now, especially since he is a guy they'd probably want to look to keep long-term. It seems like they might be buyers. I mean, they've gotten hot, and they're playing really well. They flip-flop with the Yankees, right? As soon as we dropped off, they got hot. They swept us in that 2-game series, and yeah, if I were the Mets, I'd be buying.
You'd be buying. So even guys like Starling Marte, you're not looking to move somebody like that. Jeff McNeil.
Right.
I mean, that would be a signal of we're not like completely selling, but we're breaking this thing apart piece by piece.
Right. The guys like Martes and McNeil's. I mean, Nimmo's hitting really well now. You want to probably hold on to him.
Yeah.
There's some guys they could still move, but I would still be aggressive. I mean, you look at last year, the Rangers and the Diamondbacks in the World Series. The Mets are, like you said, a half game out of that spot where the Diamondbacks were last year. So you just got to get there, then let baseball happen, and maybe you can make a run.
And to a point you made earlier, sometimes the trade deadline, the best move is a guy becoming healthy. Maybe Senga is the key to what the Mets do in the second half.
Yeah, absolutely. Their rotation could use him. He's an automatic, ace starter, really.
Yeah.
He started to show that last year, and I think he's going to come back and be stronger.
Okay, this was my dirty, difficult done, and I want your thoughts on it. Skeens. Start the All-Star game?
I like it. I think the unfortunately, the modern day All-Star game is a promotion of baseball, not so much a reward for the best players.
Ooh.
And I think right now,
Explain that. What do you mean?
So not that we don't still have the best players in.
So okay,
but there was a time where the idea of a rookie who's made 10 starts would never even be considered for it. I think even recently, I can't remember who the pitcher was, but we had a similar situation in the last few years. Blanking on who it was, but yeah, it's just not so much about merit as much as it is. Let's just get the stars out there. Let's have fun with it. And I don't necessarily think there's anything wrong with that. Baseball needs to grow the game, and that's why I think starting a guy like Skeens, who everybody wants to watch. My fiance's going on her bachelorette trip, and I said I might go to Pittsburgh that weekend.
Wow!
So it's it's something where he's just so fun to watch.
Yep.
Let's make it an enjoyable experience to watch the All-Star.
Yeah, I agree with you. The focus should be on growing the game, building excitement around it. I hated when the All-Star game meant something.
Yeah.
When it was home field advantage in the World Series. And I only hated it, CJ, because if that's the setup, I'm cool, but then you have to remove the fan vote.
Right.
I don't want this to be a popularity contest while we're trying to decide home field advantage for the World Series. That was always my biggest knock.
Yeah, we had that year where I think 7 Royals made the starting lineup, and it doesn't really work that way. And if the Royals didn't make it that year, which they did, now you're screwing over the other team. So I don't think they should have anything riding on it, and let's have fun with it. If it's an exhibition, which it really is, that's what we want to see. We want to see the most exciting players.
Yep. All right, good stuff. CJ, thanks, man.
Thank you.
Again, the guy who makes us look good, he's busy setting up for a newscast, and I said, why don't you pop on and let's talk some baseball together, right? Why not? We don't ever get to do that in front of other people. We do it a lot in the newsroom, that's for sure. All right, let's take another break here. We're going to try to get to that conversation with Ray Schott from Schott's Boxing. He's got the War on the Water 3 at Lake George. That's next on Onorato and Miller.
I'm Jeff Ukelek. I'm owner of Bevs, and we're a beverage center in upstate New York. You're just going to have that wow component when you come in, like, wow, look at this place. It's bright, it's clean, it has everything that I need. Consumer is king. Be able to provide them a friendly environment and a place to shop, no matter where they are, whether they're down here in Saratoga or whether they're up in Queensbury. You're always going to get the same experience when you shop at Bevs. At the end of the day, if you walk in your stores, you're going to see a lot of people that have a lot of pride.
Teams, athletes, organizations. We're transforming the custom apparel industry through products and purpose. Claim your crown.
And now, back to Onorato and Miller. Sponsored by Alpin House.
Back on Onorato and Miller, we'll go back live to Saratoga Racecourse in a moment, but this is War on the Water 3. Ray Schott with us from Schott's Boxing, and you want to find out more information about this event after we tell you all about it, shottsboxing.com, best place to do it. Ray, man, first of all, thanks for doing the show again. Happy to talk to you last year about this event as well. What was it about Charles R. Wood Park and Lake George that drew you guys in the first place?
Yeah, well, first off, thanks for having me on the show. Really appreciate it. Lake George in July is about the best place in the world that anybody wants to be. Never mind our show. I'm looking forward to having a great weekend up there, the rest of the time as well. But, it's supposed to be beautiful weather this year for our 3rd year in a row. We've lucked out and got, knock on wood, looks like we got great weather. But, there's people from all over the world that flock to Lake George that time of year. So we're hoping that, the town is busy and we get a great day and we could, have this event keep being like a staple in locally up there.
I love that, man. Yeah, to go 3 years now post-COVID and to make it an annual thing going forward, that's awesome. 20 fights. And, what I think is important to point out to people is that they're USA Boxing sanctioned bouts. Who from your gym is going to be there? Who do we need to be on the lookout for?
Yep, good question. So from our gym, we've got I think 3 or 4 out of the 20 will be from Shots Boxing. We try to get as many of our guys on there as possible, but with USA Boxing, amateur boxing, you never know. Lots of our fighters are, some of them are 8, 9 years old, some of them all the way up to 45, 55 years old or older. So the matches kind of come and go when you're putting these shows together. You kind of pull from everywhere. We've got a guy fighting on this show from Uzbekistan making his American debut. We got a team coming down from Canada. We got teams coming from Syracuse, Buffalo. So we pull from all over to get those fights, and we try to make the best 20 that we can. Obviously, we try to get as many of our own guys on there as we can. But like I said, you'll see everything all the way from 2 8-year-olds having the first time they've ever fought, all the way up until to people that maybe are looking to turn pro pretty soon. So as you know, Albany has been a hotbed for boxing for a long time. So hopefully you get the chance to see the next guy at our show.
Well, I was just going to say, Shots Boxing is so well known for the fighters it produces, but you guys also do just classes. People want to get into shape. Boxing's such a great way to do that. So again, shotsboxing.com. If you want a class schedule, you want to sign up and get a good workout in, get a sweat in, you can do that here. You don't have to get into the ring with anybody if you don't want to. If you're advising 8-year-olds, how much of a strategy can you implement with an 8-year-old, or are they just in there hoping to land a punch?
Well, at first they're in there just hoping to land a punch, but that's a great question. But with any other sport, it's the guys that start when they're 5, 6, 7, or girls, whoever, that start when they're that young, that have a huge advantage the older that you get. And when it's a sport like football, baseball, basketball, your traditional sports, then when you're older and you're attempting to catch up to someone that's been doing it their whole life, how difficult it can be. And when you're fighting somebody or boxing somebody, then that's even more amplified. So typically the kids that start that young and learn those lessons about how to get through a fight at that age, even if it is just like you said, maybe even going in there, closing your eyes and trying to land a punch at first, then those are the ones that are going to be way ahead of someone who gets into their 20s, 30s, 40s and decides it's time to start to learn how to defend yourself then. So it's it can be like a spectacle, watching 2 kids go at it like that, but it's you look at 2 16-year-olds that look like they could be pros. Those 2 kids were the 8-year-olds in there at first, for sure.
Doors open at 1, first fight at 2. Again, we're talking 20 bouts. I think this was at least a 3-hour event last year. You're getting your money's worth for sure. Easiest way for people, if they're just strolling Canada Street in Lake George on Saturday and they hear about this, can they show up that day and still get in?
Absolutely. Yeah, you get tickets right at the door. If you've ever been to that park, it's a huge park. We got, put the ring right in the middle of the park with, chairs all around. We'll have a DJ, food, music, drinks. I think, Lake George has always got other stuff going on that day. So as you're walking around, you walk past the park, you'll see it. We'll have signs out there, as you're walking up and down past Fort William Henry, up and down, towards $1 Million Beach and stuff like that. Come drop by, watch a couple fights, stay for the part of it, stay for all of it, make it part of your day. If you haven't been to one in a while, or if you've never been to one, then, it'd be a great event to start with.
So I know this has changed because I've been to a bunch of boxing events in the area, and it has changed everywhere, right? And it's not just boxing. You go to a Major League Baseball game, they are building stadiums that are surrounded now by basically bars and restaurants and entertainment district, right? It's no longer just about going to the game, going to the fight, going to the event, whatever it is. When did you kind of shift in that direction as a promoter that, like, look, we want people to come and enjoy the boxing, but if they're not diehards and they want to hear some music or they want to get good food, let's make it part of the experience?
Absolutely. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. It's there's usually either 2 reasons why people are going out to one of these events, and that's number one, to see somebody specific, like if you're a huge fan of one particular fighter, or maybe them personally and you're there to see them, but the other reason would be because you're looking to go out and have fun. So, you're always going to get the guys that come to see, the one guy that's really good, or come see little brother, their, you know, sister's boyfriend or whatever, go fight. But, but you want to, like you just said, throw in the rest of it, throw in the music, the drinking, the entertainment, the, you know, whatever. We'll have, you know, a chicken fight a duck up there in the intermission if we have to. Whatever we got it, whatever the people want. We'll have, you know, Chris Onorato versus Roger Weiland as the main event. Whatever we got to do to get the people there is what, you know, that's what we want to do at Shots Boxing. So you see all the time, you know, nowadays it's lots of the YouTubers, you know, celebrities, you know, maybe retired fighters are going back to it and just trying to make an event. And unless you're the best boxer in the world, then that's what people want to see. And that's what we're trying to do.
All right. So for people who are maybe coming back into the sport, what is it about this sport that pulls them back? We see athletes all the time, can't let it go. Why does boxing get its teeth into people?
Yeah, I think it's just primal, really, is what it is. It's just everybody, even like, you know, like what the best part about hockey is, you know, for a lot of people that don't watch that is the fight, man. Like you get anything.
All right, obviously a little issue there with the end of Ray's interview. It'll be on TV, though certainly. All right, one more final break here on Onorato and Miller, and then we'll wrap it up from Saratoga Racecourse. Back right after this in 30.
Get ready for the thrill of a lifetime with Tracker fishing boats, available at Alpenhaus. Feel the rush as you reel in your trophy catch, supported by Tracker's unmatched stability. Prepare to conquer any challenge with cutting-edge tech at your fingertips and the freedom to explore without limits. Make waves this season and experience the ultimate fishing adventure with Tracker fishing boats at Alpenhaus. Your source for fun since 1964.
And now, back to Onorato and Miller. Sponsored by Alpenhaus.
Alpenhaus, Marcella's, Bev's, Novice, Saratoga Casino, Performance Industrial. Love the support every single week here. We got the sun out now. I mean, let me tell you something, people. It is hot. It is humid. This is no day for a suit and tie, but it's opening day. So that's how you roll. You got to be dressed for the part, right? My dad used to always say, dress like you've got somewhere better to be. I don't have anywhere better to be, but I'm looking the part here for opening day at Saratoga. All right, thanks for hanging out and watching this week, everybody. We appreciate you all finding us, whether we are in our Thursday night time slot at 6:30, bouncing around to Wednesdays because of some of the charity events we're doing this summer, or maybe even a Thursday morning live at Saratoga Racecourse. If you caught us on TV over the weekend, 6 o'clock on my 4 Saturday nights, 6 a.m. on Sundays on News Channel 13. We appreciate you finding us however you do. Have a great weekend, everyone. Thanks for watching Onorato and Miller.